Yeah, I'll second it. Thank you.
Oh, thank you very much.
Yeah.
Okay, then over to you, Councillor McGregor. Thank you very much. Thank you.
Thanks very much, Sean. We'll just start with the procedural business. Are there any declarations of substitutes? Don't believe so, no. And any declarations of interests? No. There may be some redacted items on this agenda which may need to consider if we should exclude the press and public for any discussions about that part today. And there is presumption that these hearings will be in the public and the webcast, but the panel has the ability under the hearings regulation to exclude the press and public if in the public interest. So we may need to go into private session at an appropriate time. And so this is the application from Sussex Police for a summary review of the licence of E39 restaurant in Hove. Before we begin, can I ask all around the panel to introduce themselves, and I'll begin. So I'm Councillor McGregor, I'm Chair of Licensing and Councillor for Whitehawk and Marina. Julie, do you want to go next?
Hello, I'm Councillor Julie Cattell, Councillor for Westbourne and Poets Corner, and I'm Deputy Chair of the Licensing Committee. Thank you.
And I'm Councillor John Hewitt, Councillor in Hangleton and Knoll Ward and a member of the Licensing Committee.
Right. Emily, do you want to go next?
Good morning, everyone. Emily Fountain, Licensing Officer, presenting the application.
And Rebecca?
Yeah, good morning. Rebecca Siddell, Legal Advisor to the panel.
And Sean again.
No worries. Sean Hughes, Democratic Services Officer. Thank you.
Mark, do you want to go next?
Yeah, it's Mark Thorogood, Sussex Police Licensing.
And Sarah?
Hi, yes, good morning. I'm the DPS of E39.
Thank you. And Sarah?
Good morning, Sarah Booker-Lewis, local democracy reporter for Brighton and Hove, representing the majority of news media in the city.
Perfect, thank you very much. And just to come back to yourself, Mark, we might need a wee bit of guidance on any points of what we should put in public and private here. I think just in case related to the case, we just I think we need to be a wee bit careful. So
did you want me to comment on that?
Yes, yeah, that'd be great.
Yep. I mean, really, at the end of the day, as to what we talk about today will be down to you, Chair. Obviously, we have the same panel from the initial hearing that we had. So I don't propose going over everything that was said in that hearing, because there is obviously a live criminal investigation going and there are 4 people obviously awaiting trial. So my proposal really is if we are staying in the public and if everybody is happy with that, I will just now talk about a way going forward. That's kind of what I got in my head. But if you did want to talk about what obviously was talked about previously, then we would definitely need to go into closed session.
Perfect. Cool. I think that's quite a good rule to stand by. So if there's anything from the previous panel that comes up that going into a private, potentially there might be. Oh, sorry, Rebecca.
No, I'm just mindful that we've got. So, is Sarah? Are you representing the licence holder today? Is that your role really? And you're also the DPS.
I am.
Yes, and you have the application, don't you? From the you've seen the police application.
I have seen it, yes.
Because I think we've got to be mindful to have a fair hearing, and that you need to listen to the relevant information as well. So, but maybe if the police feel they need to go into private session to do with investigation of a live investigation, then maybe they need to say that at the appropriate time. Mark.
Yeah, I think the other stickling pit we've got here as well, and this is obviously for Sarah and the people involved, there is a connection there. So again, you know, we're very limited as to what we can and can't talk about today, even with Sarah, because you know, everybody deserves a fair trial and everything, and we don't want to jeopardise that fair trial for the 4 individuals. So, you know, it's going to be a very tricky hearing today, I think, and how we navigate around it.
Yes, I mean, the panel do have the ability to exclude Sarah as well as a member of the public if they think it's appropriate, but What do you think? I mean, well, Emily, I think Emily Fountain, the license, can introduce the application in public, and that's fine. And then maybe when we come to Mark, he could give a brief summary, and then if there needs to be some detailed questioning, it might need to go into private session. What do you think, panel? It's really your decision here.
I think that's probably best, and I was just thinking of potentially, just so you're aware, Sarah, of doing your representation in private as well, just in case, just so make sure that, you know, any sort of information that potentially could relate to the case is in private. Yeah, it is a tricky one, but I don't know if Julie or John has anything they want to say.
I agree, David. I think it's, you know, there could be some sensitive information that we shouldn't really be out there.
Yeah, I'd like to have as much in public as possible, but I feel we're really constrained by, it's going to be quite a bit of crossover with like say ongoing
case. Yeah.
Matters, so I don't feel it would be viable, unfortunately.
Yeah, so we'll do Emily introducing, and then we can do yourself, Mark, and because we know the bits that we're not supposed to talk about, and you can do that, and then maybe we go into private to have Sarah's and any kind of questions we might have there, and then we can come back and do summaries in public. Is everyone all right with that?
Okay.
Oh, perfect.
Yeah.
Perfect. So I will now hand over to the licensing officer, Emily Fountain, to introduce the application.
Thank you, Chair. This hearing has been convened so that the licensing authority can determine a summary review application made by Sussex Police in regard to the premises licence issued for E39 restaurant. A copy of the premises licence can be viewed in Appendix A from page 21 of today's papers. The summary review application was submitted to the licensing authority on the 3rd of June by Sussex Police. This was accompanied by a certificate issued by a senior officer of Sussex Police who was of the opinion that the premises are associated with serious crime. The review application and accompanying certificate and photos can be viewed by the panel and other parties involved in Appendix B, but have not been published due to the ongoing criminal investigation. On the 5th of June, the Licensing Authority held a meeting at which it was considered whether it was necessary to take interim steps pending the determination of the review. The Licensing Authority's decision was to suspend the licence with immediate effect. A copy of the hearing decision can be seen in Appendix C of today's papers, but again has not been published. A representation was submitted by a third party on the 16th of June, but was subsequently withdrawn. No other representations were received. In regard to this hearing, although Sussex Police are seeking revocation of the licence, they have provided restaurant-style conditions to assist the panel should they be minded to keep the licence in place. These have been circulated to all parties. Section 53 of the Licensing Act states that at this hearing, the Licensing Authority must consider the application for review and any relevant representations and take such steps if they are considered appropriate for the promotion of the licensing objectives. Those steps are to modify the conditions of the licence, to exclude a licensable activity, to remove the designated premises supervisor from the licence, to suspend the licence for a period not exceeding 3 months, or to revoke the licence. The panel must also consider whether the interim steps are appropriate for the promotion of the licensing objectives and determine whether to withdraw or modify the steps taken. In this regard, the panel can modify the conditions of the licence, exclude the sale of alcohol by retail from the scope of the licence, remove the designated premises supervisor from the licence, and the suspension of the licence. The determination of the review application and interim steps review must be made at the conclusion of the hearing. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you so much. Any questions from the panel on anything Emily said there? Perfect. And any questions from the responsible authorities and what Emily said there?
No, thank you, Chair.
Perfect. And any other questions on anything Emily said there So any questions from yourself, Sarah?
No, yeah, no.
Thank you very much. So I'll now hand over to Mark to hear the representation.
Thank you, Chair, and good morning, everyone. We're here today following the Section 53A review application submitted by Sussex Police following a police warrant carried out at E39 Restaurant, 86 to 87 Western Road, Hove, on Monday, the 2nd of June 2025. As you will be aware, such an application can only be submitted when it is a senior police officer's opinion the premises is associated with serious crime. It is not an application that is submitted lightly. As previously explained in the initial hearing, during the warrant, a quantity of suspected Class A drugs and cash was seized, and 4 males, all employees of the premises, have since been charged concerned in the supply of drugs and acquiring, using or processing criminal property. All 4 are currently remanded in custody until their next court appearance. As you know, following the expedited hearing on the 5th of June, yourselves agreed to suspend the licence during the consultation period, and we are now here today to find a way forward. Sussex Police are looking for the panel to seriously consider revoking the licence, and during the appeal period and beyond, if such an appeal is launched, for the interim steps to stay in place, i.e. the licence suspended. We do not believe that the designated premises supervisor had or has day-to-day control over the venue. It was informed to us by an attending police officer when meeting Sarah that she advised she was a stay-at-home mum. During this process, it is not possible to remove the premises licence holder, and one of the arrested persons stated they were the cousin of the PLH, although not related. We believe this venue needs a total break from its current standing in who is operating it. By revoking the licence and keeping the suspension in place during the appeal process gives the freeholder an opportunity to reset the button. We have made it clear to the freeholder, who we have been in contact with, that we would work with them should they find a new tenant in applying for a new licence. An application we would support as long as our checks show there is no link with the current occupants. Panel, you are aware what was found by officers and the seriousness of this. We believe there are links with the individuals arrested and the persons that are listed on the licence. It is for this reason we believe the only safe way forward is to revoke the licence so this venue can have a fresh start. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Before we go into any private, I'm just going to ask, is there any questions from the panel? Is this question better on a private level, Julie, or is it okay for public?
Tricky. I was going to ask a good date for the people who've been arrested.
Sorry, what was the first bit? You were a bit bubbly then.
So
sound.
Oh, sorry, can you hear me? Yeah, I was going to ask if there's a court date yet for the...
yeah, I think the next hearing is early July. I think it's later on this week. But I don't know what that court is. I think that's at Lewis, but I don't know if that's a plea hearing or whether that's the start of a trial. Oh, there we go, Sarah. Thank you, Sarah. 2nd of July.
Any questions from yourself, John?
Not for me, thank you.
I think just before we move over to yourself, Sarah, probably best we move into the private at this point. Oh, did you? Yeah. How do we move into the private now, Rebecca? How do we do that?
So I think what you're saying is you'd like to hear Sarah's version in private session.
Yeah, and also just get any questions from Mark. I think it's probably worthwhile we do that in a private session.
Are you in agreement with that, Mark? I know that. Do you think that's a good necessary sort of in the public interest to do that? If there is anything, we might be able to do the summaries in public then for Sarah. That might but I think just to make sure that nothing is prejudiced, it might be helpful to go into private session for this part. So we will exclude the press and public, and the webcast will need to be stopped or paused.
Bye.
Okay.
Thanks, Sarah. Sorry about that.
Sarah Booker-Lewis is now back into the meeting. I'm just waiting on the webcast, though. Just one moment. Thank you. Okay, we have confirmation that the webcast is now back on. Thank you.
That's great. Thank you very much. So we'll now move on to summaries. And I kind of remind all parties that at this point you should not be introducing any new information, and that it has not already been raised as part of your representation. So I will start with Emily and the licensing team.
Thank you, Chair. As we've heard, this hearing has been convened so that the licensing authority can determine a summary review application made by Sussex Police in regard to the premises licence issued for E39 restaurant. The panel have now heard from everyone present and must consider the application for review and any relevant representations and take such steps, if any, as are considered appropriate for the promotion of the licensing objectives. Those steps are to modify the conditions of the licence, to exclude a licensable activity, to remove the designated premises supervisor from the licence, to suspend the licence for a period not exceeding 3 months, or to revoke the licence. The panel must also consider whether the interim steps are appropriate for the promotion of the licensing objectives and determine whether to withdraw or modify the steps taken. In this regard, the panel can modify the conditions of the licence, exclude the sale of alcohol by retail from the scope of the licence, remove the designated premises supervisor from the licence, and continue the suspension of the licence. The determination of the review application and interim steps review must be made at the conclusion of the hearing. Thank you.
That's great. Thank you very much. And Mark from the police.
Thank you. So, as mentioned, calling a 50A review is not a decision taken lightly. Sussex Police feel that this location needs a total reset. We don't have confidence in the DPS, and nor is it possible to remove the PLH. Both, we understand, are linked to the 4 males arrested in one way or another. We kindly ask the panel revoke the licence and keep the interim steps in place. We will work with the property freeholder in going forwards with any future application.
Thank you very much. And now for the licence holder and Sarah.
Sorry, yes. Yeah, I would love to. I will do anything, any commitments you would like me to do. I would love to continue running the restaurant. I will be very much involved this time. I'll make sure nothing will happen again. Be very careful with everything. And I'm just hoping you're going to give me another chance.
Thanks very much, Sarah. And so any closing comments from our legal advisor to the panel, Rebecca?
Not really. No, I don't think so, unless you've got any questions of me.
None from me, no.
So the decision has to be made very quickly today, and will be given in writing by the end of the day, certainly. I think that's. Thank you.
Perfect. Thank you very much. So yeah, so we'll now, the panel will now retire to make its decision. Please note we will be accompanied by the legal advisor and the clerk to the panel, but they will take no part in the decision-making process, and the decision will be sent in writing today with appeal letters attached. And thank you all so much for attending.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.